Whether you're standing in front of your closet or if you're at a retail store, it can be pretty difficult to find the right footwear for the right activity. And that's where I want to start with, the right activity. We're talking day hiking on this video segment. And that kind of overall arching segment of outdoor activity with your legs, day hiking. You know, there's other ones that fall into that category that are more specialized, like mountaineering, snowshoeing, backpacking, even as simple as walking, rock climbing. We're not going to drill deep into those sub-segments of hiking or those specialties. So we're just going to talk really general overall. Here's the kind of things you need for just, hey, I want to get on the trail for an hour or for 9 hours, and I want to do a hike, and it's going to be on a mixed bag of trail conditions: dirt, rock, mud, maybe a little rain, maybe a little snow, just kind of overall general. These are good things to look for when shopping for the right shoe, boot, footwear for your next hiking activity. The three things you need to look for when you're choosing footwear for hiking are the fit, the material, and the tread. The fit is pretty simple. It's pretty much what's the size of the shoe or the boot. You could easily find that on the label here, like you do all your other shoes and boots. Whatever normal size you wear that for your hiking boot. Don't make any special exceptions. Don't go large or smaller. The same exact fit that you wear on any other shoes should apply for your hiking shoe or boot. Along with that, you know, the fit, not only the size, but try these on in the store. Don't buy them online. Don't roll the dice with, hey, I think it's going to fit good. It's going to be tight. It's going to be loose, because they're all made a little differently. And certain brands maybe a little narrower, maybe a little longer, and some are notorious for that. You know, I don't have that covered in this segment, but the best case scenario is go to the store and try them on and walk around for like 5-10 minutes, right? And even in hiking socks, which I'll get into in just a short bit here. So try them on, walk around with them, and make sure that initially you're not uncomfortable. It's not pinching your toes. It's not too much of a gap in the front. You know, your heel isn't rubbing significantly as you're walking up and down stairs or the fake hills they have in the store, which you need to do. Don't just walk flat. Kind of mimic your hiking experience in the store, or even go outside if they'll let you. Do as much kind of assessment as you can on the fit, and make sure initially you just don't see any red flags, that it doesn't hurt, and the fit is where it needs to be. The material, I pretty much have two categories represented here. I have leather, all leather upper. These guys, when they say upper, it means the exterior is just leather, and then the interior is going to be something else, typically man-made material like polyester, cotton, something for comfort on the inside, wick-away material, that kind of thing. But the exterior is leather. These guys are going to be a combination of leather and some man-made material, probably nylon, probably canvas, you know, depending on the style and what they're going for as far as the design. So we've got a mixture of materials as far as the exterior, and these are just leather. Leather is going to be for your cold and wet weather hiking. Okay, I have all of these because I hike throughout the entire year. So if you're hiking in rain, snow, really cold, you want to go with leather because it's going to protect your feet more. And in addition to that, if you're hiking in really wet conditions, crossing creeks, really muddy, wet trails, occasional snow and rain, you know, you'll want to go with one that says Gore-Tex, or that has some proprietary waterproof membrane on the inside of it. Gore-Tex is the most worldwide known, you know, technology for this membrane they put inside that stops moisture intrusion, but is also breathable to some extent. And same thing with this guy. So, and sometimes they'll have like a little metal tag here that says Gore-Tex versus the little label. So just pay close attention to the boot itself. If you're hiking in water conditions and it's wet, choose something that has Gore-Tex in addition to a leather exterior. This guy does not have Gore-Tex. If I were to submerge all these three in water, these two may last minutes, maybe 10 minutes before I start to feel water intrude. It's not truly waterproof. It may seep into the seams here and the cracks. There's definitely some possibility for water to get in here. But with this, it doesn't have that extra membrane. So it will seep in just regular leather quicker because it will eventually absorb that leather material. So for true and the truest waterproof, you want to go leather with Gore-Tex or some other technology that the shoe company is deemed to be a waterproof membrane. And then for your summer hiking or late spring, early fall, where you're not as wet, it's not raining much, or you don't expect to have wet trail conditions, certainly not snowing at that time, and you're not crossing rivers and creeks, then you can go with a combo where it's a mixture of leather or no leather if you don't need that protection, and just man-made materials. It's probably nylon, maybe suede. These two are perfectly acceptable if you're not hiking in snow or water. And if these two are shallower, meaning you're not going up and down steep hills, if they're flat or just gentle terrain, you can go with a low-cut shoe, a trail shoe or a trail running shoe even, versus a high top or a mid-top boot. This one's more of a mid-top, this one's more of a high top. You can kind of see the slight difference in elevation. Pretty much the steeper the trails, the steeper the boot you want for more ankle and lower leg protection so you don't twist those ankles. Nothing worse than twisting your ankle on a trail and you've got miles to limp out. So make sure you're wearing the right ankle protection. So gentle, small trails and slopes, you can get by with the low-cut ones. And this is kind of my go-to for just overall hiking because it's a mid-height. And these guys are for extreme hiking and really steep elevations where I'm going up steep hills. Along with the material itself, about how it feels and the interior and exterior, look at the specific hardware that they use. These two here are definitely more hiking built. These are designed for rugged outdoor hiking. They have these metal grommets and eyelets for the shoelaces, whereas this one is just your kind of traditional, whole eyelet. This is more of an on-the-town kind of boot that could be used on the trail. This may wear out more. These eyelets may pop if I'm really doing some rugged climbing on that. So that's why these are really built heavy duty for rugged outdoor climbing. This one is a little bit more light duty. It just has the leather as far as eyelets for the shoelaces. And this, now we're getting very basic and very generic as far as just holes in the leather, not even an eyelet. And this one is even nylon eyelets. So take close attention to that, because if you're doing extreme hiking with these lighter duty versions, these things are going to break. These eyelets will just snap. Your shoelaces are going to pop through them, and maybe even your seams. If you're doing some really extreme climbing with these lighter duty ones, these are going to break. You're going to get holes in them, and they're just going to be falling apart on you. So these heavier duty ones built with these metal grommets are more for either long-term use, if you want to invest into something really expensive and get something that'll last longer, or you just don't need that extreme duty conditions. And the third most important thing when selecting footwear is going to be the tread, the bottom of your boot. Definitely look at that. This is very important, and we'll go through what all this means and why they design boots in this particular way, because it does make a big difference as far as traction, control, injury, twisting your ankle. All these things make a difference based on this tread. So flip the boot or shoe over, and let's take a deep dive into this tread technology and what that means for you on the trail. Boot treads are very similar to tire treads, right? They make tires for dry conditions, wet, snow, ice. Same thing goes for boots. So you're going to find different technologies of boot treads that are built specifically for that application, for that season, for that trail condition. And not necessarily do you have to buy a specific boot for every single type of weather. There are some that apply to all different types of weather and kind of be seasonal year-round ones. But I'll certainly point out the ones that are better for certain conditions, and you can decide if you want to go with those year-round or like I do, just buy one for every type of condition because you're hiking every week out of the year. So first, let's start out with traction that you really want to avoid on the trail. And this goes kind of to your car tires as well. Anything kind of flat that doesn't have a lot of grooves and is gonna make you slide. You know, even on the slightest hill elevation, these Converse, you're not gonna get much grip and you're just gonna slide off. Same thing with these sandals. They're just not designed for rugged trail conditions and going up and down slopes. So you want to avoid these because you're just going to fall and slide, and that's no good for you. So when in doubt, just go with one that looks aggressive. Even this guy right here, this is my cheapest shoe that I'll use on light trails periodically. I got this at Walmart for maybe 25, 30 bucks a pair, but look at the aggressive tread on it. I mean, that's awesome. I've probably used this on, light to medium trails, and it does a pretty good job. Now, it doesn't have any ankle support. It's pretty low, but the tread is just really outstanding for a cheap shoe that I found for next to nothing. So the most aggressive tread is good when in doubt. You want to go with something that has these really deep treads, okay? What you'll find on hiking shoes and boots is some organized tread formation, that it logically makes sense for the conditions and for starting and stopping you in a controlled manner, okay? These two on the ends, these are like my streetwear boots and shoes. These are really not designed for hiking. These are designed for walking around the park or walking around the asphalt, and they don't have a whole lot of logic in the tread wear. Yeah, this is kind of deep, and this will give me definitely some traction in dirt and muds, but there's no logic. It's just some random pattern, maybe just to look pretty for me to buy it. And this is really not designed for the trail. Even though the grooves are great in grabbing mud and dirt, it's not going to expel it, and it's certainly not going to stop me in any specific way. There's really no rhyme or reason to that pattern. This one is actually just the opposite pattern of what I'd want or expect. What you want to look at is arrows on the shoes. Now, these arrows are actually going in the wrong direction. I want arrows to go that way, so when I'm going uphill, it pulls me up. And when I'm going downhill, it prevents me from sliding. These arrows are actually going in the wrong direction, so whoever designed this cheap Walmart shoe, it didn't take that into consideration. And that's why it's okay because it's deep tread, but it's the direction of the arrows and the tread is really not what you want. Now take a look at this guy. This one is designed specifically for hiking. I've got my treads angular so that this will pull me up the hill, and then these guys on the back are designed in the exact opposite direction. So they're directional arrows and treads to pull me so that it prevents me from slipping, and they even have some lined ones here in addition to these grooves. But these are really important here on the front. These are going to pull you up the hill as your feet are climbing, and these will stop you. Now, these other ones here, it's kind of a hodgepodge of traction, and I don't love these treads. Actually, this was my boot not too long ago, and I found this was just weird. Some of these treads, they're designed in a circular pattern where it almost wants to spin your foot a little bit. Now, this is very subtle for the average hiker. You guys are probably fine with stuff like this, but for me, who's hiking every dang day, this stuff makes a difference. I mean, this is designed to kind of like spin your foot, and it's just weird. I don't get why they did that. This, to me, is the most logical design because it's almost like an arrow. Again, this one is okay too, and this is kind of my go-to in the summer months. But at least kind of makes sense. We've got a symmetrical pattern here. We do have some grooves that are stopping me, going downhill, and then some that are facing up in kind of an arrow pattern. So these are kind of okay as far as a pattern is concerned. This one is Timberland, right? Another brand, and it's just a random weird pattern of shapes and octagons. Yeah, maybe this will do great on sand or light dirt, but not on rocks and not on steep trails. This is for a very, light trail conditions, and it's just kind of this random pattern of to me, nonsense. And a couple last things to look for on treads is this little yellow label. It says Vibram. Vibram is a manufacturer of soles, and specifically for hiking. You're gonna find these on top quality hiking boots. This is almost an indication if you're getting a good boot. And most of the manufacturers of hiking boots use Vibram. because they do design the tread wear that's specific for unique trails. It may last longer, it may be the better kind of rubber. I'm not an expert on the manufacturing, but I know to look for that yellow label. It's historically treated me well with all my boots, whereas these don't. They're just using other materials, rubbers, and it's not going to get the longevity as a Vibram, and it's certainly not designed with intelligence for hiking on trail conditions. As far as colors, brands, and price, take your pick. You're going to find a variety of colors and brands to pick from. Actually, it's overwhelming. The ones that I have stuck with that have been good brands for me are Vask. These two are Vask. This is Zamberlan. This is the only one out of all these who is designed and manufactured in one country. This is an Italian made. This is the most expensive boot I have. This is probably in the $400 range because it's Italian. And as you know about footwear, probably Italian, everything is really expensive. All these other ones are going to be probably designed in a country like Timberland. This is Swiss designed, but it's made in Vietnam. Some of these are made in Turkey, Vietnam. So you get a variety of, not that that means it's poorer quality. Perhaps, maybe the shoe enthusiasts will counter me on that, but definitely you're going to pay more if it's Italian or German made or made in one particular country versus those outsourced countries. Brands are great. You're going to find a whole host of them out there. These other ones like Merrell, Asolo, Keen, Loa, Danner, Garmont, La Sportiva, Salomon, Adidas. There's so many out there. Typically stick with a name brand. This offshoot of Walmart called Avia, I don't know these guys. I think it's just some off-brand. And it's okay for just basic little trail running. You definitely want to stick with name brands. The more use you're going to do, the more frequency of hiking. If you're hiking monthly, spend more money on the brand. This is where you want to put most of your money when you're investing in hiking, because shoe wear and footwear is the most important thing, and your comfort is going to be in your feet first and foremost of all your other hiking equipment. All right, so now here's a list of what not to wear on the trail when you're hiking. Please don't do this. So I don't like these shoes that are slip-on, that don't have any way to secure. You're going to be too wobbly in this probably, and it's not great. Even these cheap Skechers have decent tread on them. So if you're just walking around the lake that's flat on asphalt, this is fine. Don't wear this on a trail where there's any kind of hills, because you're going to roll your heel and you're going to be in trouble. Save your Converse for some other day and some other activity that's low fitness, and the tread's terrible and there's no real ankle support. Don't wear open-toed shoes. You're going to get dirt, rocks in here. You're going to be clearing them out periodically. So if you are going to wear sandals, make sure it has like a front cover to it. But honestly, I would just stay away from these altogether. It's just going to probably open you up to injury and other annoyances. Definitely don't wear flip-flops. It's just the wrong for the application. This is for the beach or sitting by the pool. And come on, seriously, don't wear your slippers. And all you cowboys out there, no, don't go on the trail with this. You could ride a horse with this all day long, but please don't go on the trail. You're going to slide and fall and look like an idiot. Well, you're going to look like an idiot wearing these anyway. So just don't wear this stuff on the trail and you'll be good to go. Well, you got your great pair of boots or shoes and you're ready to hit the trail. Before you do that, make sure you get the right socks. This is going to be important too, just so you don't, make a miserable experience, because you have the best shoes and boots in the world and your feet are still sweaty, or they're not the right fit, or a variety of reasons. So pick the right socks. I'll always stick with either wool, preferably a wool blend with polyester, or one that's called merino wool. It's like a thinner, lighter version of wool. Those are the three to go with. Don't do cotton, and make sure you get one that at least covers your heel of your boot, that goes above the boot line so you don't get rubbing. So let's start with just a couple of the basics. This is probably going to be a combo, polyester wool. It's a thinner one. This is probably one of my thinner ones that I use, and I typically don't wear a lot of this on the trail. It's too thin. This has almost been my go-to lately. It's a slightly thicker one. It's made out of merino wool, and it's just more padding and more comfort. And then you've got these extra padding and stretchy on the toes and on the heels. So it may have a mixture of a little spandex in there too for the stretchiness. This one is more your traditional hiking sock that is wool. I think this is exclusively wool. And then now we're getting into a wool polyester, maybe a little spandex on the heel. And this one's a little taller. This is if I'm in long boots or in winter weather that I want more coverage on the top of my boot or even on my calf. Now here's the thick wool sock. This is for really winter hiking when I want super warm, or I'll even double up sometimes. I'll do a lighter polyester one on the bottom or wool, and then maybe a wool and a merino wool, and I could do double if it's super cold like winter hiking. But for your day-to-day regular hiking, go with one of these three guys. Just a medium density merino wool polyester blend. You're going to be really happy, and you'll wick away moisture and your feet will be nice and dry. I always carry an extra pair of socks in my pack because you never know. What if you step in a river, snow gets in your boot, and there's nothing worse than getting a wet sock while you're hiking. It's just prone to blisters and you're just feeling miserable. So carry an extra set of socks in your boot. What not to wear? Polyester socks, like your dress socks. Yeah, they're wicking away, they're polyester, but this thing is really thin. Actually, probably too thin for hiking, so I don't even wear that. Save that for the night on the town. And there's little booties that just barely cover your ankle. Maybe if you find these and you're wearing trail shoes and these are the appropriate, wool polyester blend, okay, but mine are cotton. So I would never wear these on the trail. You don't want to wear cotton. Cotton absorbs moisture. It just, it will prevent you, no, it won't prevent you from getting blisters. It'll encourage blisters. And that brings up, what do you do if you start to feel like you're getting blisters? That's if you get a hot spot, meaning you're rubbing and you just feel that warmth in a part of your foot. That means you're getting a blister. Stop immediately and apply what's called moleskin. I don't actually have it here, I'm sorry. It kind of looks like these little cushions that are for calluses, which actually kind of works okay. If you already have a blister forming, you can peel these little guys off and put this around the blister. That kind of works to prevent the additional rubbing. But a moleskin is similar to this squishy thing, and this will fit over your hot spot, or even if your blister is already formed. And then that adds as a protective layer for your boot to rub the moleskin versus your blister and just make things worse. Don't use Band-Aids. They'll just fall right off with sweat and just motion. That's stupid. This is just not right this is for sprains and things like that. So definitely go with moleskin for if you're getting a hot spot, if you already have blisters, and that'll be the way to go to keep your feet happy. Before we wrap up, guys, I want to mention, don't forget to break in your boots before you go hiking. What does break in mean? It means wear them around the house, wear them shopping, go to Walmart for at least a week. 2 weeks is better, and wear them with your hiking socks that I recommend so they form to your foot, because not every boot is designed for your foot. It's designed for size 11, size 10s, whatever the general population is for the most part, and the width. So it may be not the perfect fit for you, but it will form to your foot. So wear it around. That's the break-in period before you go on the trail. I wore these after only breaking it in for a few days, and I got massive blisters. I almost ditched these because they hurt so bad. Well, I broke them in for another week or two around the house, and now they're my favorite boot. So definitely break them in. You'll get 0 to less blisters, and then you'll have the best hiking experience out there. Hey guys, I appreciate you watching this. Have fun out there.